And that obviously changed things for the hiking business. But I'm not someone to sit down and go and feel sorry for myself and what's going on in the world. So that's when I delved into the coaching world. So for the last 2 years, I've been coaching and gaining qualifications and just experiences across the board dealing with different people. And now I'm called a life and business coach. But in general, what I do is I inspire courage. But my main focus in people is their body-mind connection. And I believe I'm a good one to talk about it because as I just gave you a tiny little glimpse of my life, I learnt the hard way.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's super inspirational. Like you really have gone through the ringer. And the thing is, we sometimes get sent all these signs and it takes us a while to really understand the signs. I personally have actually been struggling a bit myself over the last month. And probably the last month, Kate has actually been pulling me up on it quite a lot because I have been quite business focused. I'm always focusing on my clients. And with all my clients, I always ask the questions like, how are you feeling before I actually train them? Because I will train them according to how they're feeling. So I'm very in touch with how people, like with how I should train someone that's not feeling well, might have life stresses or work stresses or what have you. But sometimes I need someone to pull me in to line and say, you're going a bit too hard at the moment. My husband says that, mind you, but, you know, I don't listen to him. But Kate, I have actually been listening to, and I have been focusing on a little bit more downtime myself. And I'm even like scheduling even more downtime for myself over the next couple of weeks because I've sort of like hit a point myself. Like I was almost not going to do this tonight because I have actually been pushing myself too far. And the signs have been there, but I've been sort of dismissing it a bit. And this is where it's really helpful to have a coach in your corner as well, any sort of like life coach or personal trainer or anything like a nutritionist, because they can see before you can see that you actually need to have a rest. So it's just as much as they can see that you're able to achieve things generally before you can achieve it. So yeah, so Kate and I, as I said, like, you know, we're very similar with our views. And I've known, you know, for years more about the healthy food and the exercise and a bit of the mindset. But, you know, as time's gone on, I've realized how important also like sleep is, you know, just living a purpose of like giving and helping people and also just that whole growth mindset and, you know, developing and educating yourself forevermore, really. Like I remember at one point thinking that 30 was old, and it's like, you know, I'm like,
now be nice. There's a few of us nudging 50. Come on.
Yeah, I'm nudging 50. So
yeah. And I think one of the biggest things here too is that and why I kind of do a lot of work in this area is we kind of hear the word or the lingo self-care. It kind of floats around a bit every now and then you hear, and then you might do something a little bit special for yourself. You might run yourself a nice bath, or you might have a nourishing meal, or, you know, you might go for a walk. You've squeezed that into your life. But self-care is something very, very different to that. So self-care is real worth of self and understanding that you are more important than anything else.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I think we tend to fit ourselves in where we can.
Oh, absolutely. And as you get older and you become a parent or you're busy with your work, you do tend to put everything else first before yourself.
And self-care can also be, I believe, I've seen it, and normally when I work with people, we work a lot on self-care, and it's funny, they always say, yeah, but Kate, I don't have the time for self-care. Who the hell's got time for self-care? But at the end of the day, we decide our own time. Absolutely. Time doesn't really exist, right? We dictate what time is, and we decide or we choose to fill our time in with what we want to. So if you want to find that time for self-care, make it. So one of the first things that I do with my ladies, and there's a few here that work with me and they still do work with me, is that we create self-care time. And it sounds crazy that we even have to do that, but unfortunately we do. So it might be, you know, if you get up even 15, 20, 30 minutes earlier than what you normally do, I don't believe it's going to kill you if you do that. I mean, I hope not, otherwise I'm in a lot of trouble, but I don't believe it's going to, right? But that 30 minutes, for example, and you can do that slowly, like work it up, 10 minutes and then 15 minutes and 30 minutes. And what you can achieve in that 30 minutes of self-care and gratitude and reflection of self and worth can make the difference in everything that you do moving forward in that day, the next week, the next year. It's just that tiny little bit of time that you've taken to go, the world can wait because I'm worth this time and I'm going to give it to myself. I'm going to connect my body and my mind. I'm going to understand my worth. I'm going to love who I am. And then I'm going to be really ready to get out there and do what I need to do and give to others.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. No, that's fantastic. And so basically with your work, you work on 4 main pillars, don't you? Feed the mind, feed the gut, feed the body, and feed the awesomeness. Would you like to
my category? I mean, everyone's kind of got their own little, they're my little sneaky, because to me, I believe that they encompass mind, body, soul.
Yeah.
Okay, so mind and body health to me equals healthy soul. So that's why I have in particular awesomeness in there, because we're all fucking awesome, really, aren't we? But we kind of forget that we are, or we need other people to tell us that we are when we can tell ourselves that, and live with that certainty. So, you know, around those pillars, you feed your mind is depending on where you are in the space and the environment that you happen to be in. So if you are in that office kind of employee or corporate environment, feeding your mind can be quite the opposite of what you think, where it is actually inspiring your mind, inspiring others, challenging your mind in and educating your mind in things that you're not in your head with on a day-to-day basis. So that's what I mean by feed your mind, right? And in feed your gut, it's obviously about, you know, I hate to say it, but you are what you eat.
100%.
You know, you are what you eat. And you know, I have a sneaky little glass of wine here and there, and I have, you know, maybe a nice hamburger every now. It's not about clean eating 24 hours a day, and you know, it's not about that. And I'm not about that. I actually eat soul foods. You know, I'm really into soul foods, good healthy foods. But feed your gut is just about being aware of what you are putting in your body, and in a regular basis. The cells are going to create that, and they only change every 7 years. And then it's basically going to change into what the cells have become, and that's based on what you've eaten.
Exactly right. It's a manifestation of what you've been doing over your life. That's why we end up with the diseases that we end up with. It's not like it just has come from nowhere. 90% of like diseases and cancer is actually preventable. It's just because of our lifestyle choices. So it is super important to be looking after our gut. And I'm the same again as Kate. Like, I don't believe that it needs to be, you know, 100% good nutrition. I believe you need to have like a little bit of balance, but, you know, I'd say like 85% of my diet is pretty good. And then like I've got 15%, you know, a little bit of, you know, food that's not ideal and a few wines on the weekend, but that's also not going to harm you either. It's actually good as well.
And the work that I do with the ladies with their diet, I base it 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods. Yeah. So your soul foods, the things that you love and they make you happy, and you know, you need that in life. All right. Well, I believe you need that in life.
I believe so as well.
Yeah. And the work that I probably go deeper in that feed of gut is around your relationship with food. So we often have a lot of limiting beliefs and we're emotionally driven with how we eat. So, you know, the work that I do, yes, as a nutritionalist and a naturopath, I get you on, you know, plan and good eating and so forth. And we have a look at what's good for your body and what's not. But I probably go that little bit deeper because, as everybody knows, I like to get people uncomfortable to get comfortable, because that's what it's all about. So, you know, it's the same with the food in your gut. It's about getting in there and having a look at what that relationship is like with food, because there's probably a pattern that's been created when you were very young and probably from your parents.
Absolutely. Emotional eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, feed your body. This is obviously Lisa's wonderful area of expertise. But I was a boxer. I decided to be a boxer when I was 40. You know, why not? Yeah. And I loved it. I competed. I was amateur, obviously, because I was so old when I started. But it was, yeah, but it was one of the most wonderful things I did. And you know, around that body and that health of body, if we don't move, if we're not active, we're not healthy. I mean, seriously, guys, we've got one body. We've been given one body in this earth, in this time. And the abuse that we tend to do with that is extraordinary. So it's just about, you know, loving within, but loving without.
Exactly.
And to do that, you've got to move. You got to move. And the chemicals that are created by being active, and we won't go all into that tonight, but it's fascinating. I love all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The chemicals that are released when we're active in our bodies, the mental health is extraordinary.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's just what we're talking about. It's that whole mind-body connection. It's all connected. You know, you can't have a healthy body with an unhealthy mind, and vice versa. So
no. And I mean, Lisa, I'm a PT and Lisa's my PT.
And we all have a coach. I have a coach as well.
We all have a coach.
Everyone has a coach. You can always learn more.
And it's another thing that I'll often hear with my clients, you know, and I fell into this trap when I was working 18 hours a day because I chose to give everything to climbing up the ladder. And that is, I don't have the time. And I call bullshit on that. Right? Because we've all got the time, again, to find 20 minutes, 30 minutes, if that's all you can.
Exactly.
To get out and be active. That's all it takes.
Exactly right. And that's what I always say to my clients as well. Just go out for a 20-minute walk. That's all you need to do. And that in itself will make you feel better. I mean, just getting out, as Kate would know, just getting out in nature makes you feel better. As I mentioned before, like I wasn't feeling great this morning, and I went for it. It was miserable weather. I'm in Sydney, but it was raining like Melbourne. I think you sent it up here or something, Kate.
Oh, hoo. Yeah.
And it was miserable. So I went and bought myself a chai latte and I walked in the rain for like about 45 minutes. It was amazing. Do you know how good I felt after that? It was like so good. I came back, I'm like, oh, it feels so much better just getting out in nature, looking at the trees. And I just did not think about anything either in that time. I like purposely was like, I'm just going to zone out. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm just going to enjoy and appreciate my surroundings. And gosh, it makes you feel so much better.
But again, listening to yourself with this too. So, and again, I've learned this the hard way. So if you're, you know, I was all into extreme sports. So I used to ski race, motorbike ride, everything, car race, you name it. Everything was speed with me, right? And the extreme with me, right? But then when I got diabetes at 31 years of age, and there's a lot of complications and a lot of work that takes to manage that, and I wanted to be able to manage it properly, I identified that I wasn't the person that I was before, and that I wasn't able to necessarily do those sort of active things all the time. I had to change how I was going to be active, which is why I opened up the hiking company. All right. So you've got to listen to yourself, and I'm even preaching Lisa about this at the moment. I'm the little person on her shoulder.
She's being a coach.
Yeah, you've got to stop. You've got to look at what's going on in your body and your mind. And there's a lot of chaos going around us at the moment, and that's impacting us in our mind and our body. So calm ourselves down a little bit. But it doesn't mean don't move. It just means move in a different way. Because the healing process that being active creates is well worth moving. It's exactly what Lisa just said. Going out in the rain, which is probably perfect because that's really, really a beautiful space to be in. The sound, tuning into that, being somewhere where you're not able to kind of ruminate and think about what's going on around everybody at the moment, and just being still and enjoying moving your body. She feels better for that now. And that's what we do when we go out and we let ourselves be in that sort of stillness, in that place. Or it might be you want to pick up some weights and bulge up your biceps because your energy is in that. You're in a masculine kind of space and you want to do that. You want to feel that. Just listen to yourselves. Don't do it because you think you have to do it, because you should do it. Anything that becomes a chore, anything, the same in self-care. Even in the area that I work with people in morning rituals. All right. When you're doing manifesting and intentional work and your gratitude writing, the moment that any of that feels like a chore, you've created it as a chore.
Spot
right?
on.
So it's then moving it and changing it to something else. And I call morning rituals, I call creating your own toolbox. And that's what I talk about in self-care. Your self-care, the way you should look at self-care is your toolbox. And every time that you feel that you're disconnecting from mind and body and the health is not balanced, you go to your toolbox and you grab out the tools that are required, dependent on the energy, your vibration, and where you are at that moment. And every day might be a little bit different, but that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important. And I even feel like that with me as well. There's different days where I will feel like doing cardio. Some days I just feel like doing strength. Some days I just feel like going for a walk. And it really is about tuning in with your body. Today was definitely not a day for me to do cardio because my stress levels were already up. So the last thing you want to be doing is a high intensity workout when your cortisol levels are already raised. It's not good for the central nervous system. And that's actually why I always speak to my clients about how they're feeling before I ever train them, every single morning, day, or whatever time I'm training them at, because I can make them feel worse if I don't train them appropriately. So it's super, super important. If you don't know how to do it, reach out, ask your coach. So tell us about your Feed the Awesomeness. I love this, Kate.
This is my favorite feed. Okay, so feeding the awesomeness. You know, we were born to be great. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we're here. We're here to be great. We're here to be the best versions of ourselves. And in order to do that, we've got to get out there. We've got to do courageous stuff. We've got to do stuff that make us scared and a little uncomfortable. Because otherwise, you know, we get to the end of our life and imagine looking back and going, oh, damn it, I wish I'd done that. And oh, that's a bit of a bore. And, you know, all those things that pop up, and we all have them. Our own awesomeness is that it's very individual, right? It's individualized. But your awesomeness is one of the most important pillars because they really give you that certainty of who you are and that fun kind of way about who you are and the energy that you need and the belief that you need to do all those other things, to feed your mind, to feed your gut, to feed your body. You'd be awesome to be able to do all that. So try something different. Jump out of a plane, learn how to pole dance, climb up Kilimanjaro, go down the drive. I mean, I know it's a little bit hard now because we're going through a slight situation, but that doesn't mean that you still can't find your awesomeness.
Agree.
There's a lot of things available in this life, regardless of your body situation, your medical situation, or where you are, or the restraints that you're going through. Every single one of you can find your awesomeness. What lit you up and what has lit you up in the past needs to light you up now and in the future. Don't let go of it.
No, beautiful. Yeah, and that's it. And it's dare to, you know, dream big and to, like you said, experience different things in life. Like you don't want to be not trying things. You don't want to be on that deathbed going, oh God, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Definitely want to experience things in your life, and you always feel so much better for it when you have done something slightly scary. It's like super cool, bit of an adrenaline rush.
And these things don't all have to be done necessarily hugely in one day, but at the end of the day, where I work with people though, they're always there, so they're always present. So we're working on them slightly differently, but at the end of the day, the awesomeness might be that I've booked something for next month. right? I might be learning how to make and play a drum in 2 months' time. I'm going to learn how to play the guitar in 3 months' time with my son. I've just bought us both guitars.
Oh, fun.
Right? I've booked a trip for 2023. I'm taking a group of people along the Camino Trail. So it doesn't have to be that you've got to be bold and wonderful and courageous every minute of the day. But the mind and the soul needs to know that it's going to. All right, that it's going to have that. And it's really important. That's a part of the pillars. Okay, because the others are slightly more practical in some sense, but that awesomeness is where you just become completely and utterly awesome.
Yeah, amazing. I super, super love that. Well, thank you very much, Kate. Now, if anyone has any questions, just pop it into the chat box, because we'll just stay on for like another 5 or 10 minutes if you do have any questions. But just while I'm just waiting to see if anyone does have any questions, Kate, can you let everyone know how they can where they can find you and how they can contact you, even if you type that into the panel box?
And I think all of you would have got a invite via email from me for the 5-day challenge that's coming up. So that's three sessions over 5 days. And in those sessions, I touch on limiting beliefs. So we kind of go in there and have a look at what those limiting beliefs can do and how they can restrain you, and then how to move through those. We then touch on the pillars, and I give you techniques of how to actually go out and achieve those and introduce them into your life. And then the last one is around some really great, there's little things that you can do to make life very, very connected in mind and body. And these are things like, trying to go to bed before 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, not eating food 2 hours before you go to bed, doing mindfulness work in the morning, creating a morning ritual, making sure you have self-care. So all these things in your life that you can put in, and you can start creating that best version of yourself. All right. So it's an hour from 7 till 8 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you're all invited to come to that by being a part of this. I'd love to see some of you there. But I'll put my details in the chat. And if you want to reach out and talk to me about anything at all, I'm more than happy to have a talk to you via either email, which I'll put in here, or contact number.
Yes, and everyone who is registered and attended will also receive a free health and fitness consultation from myself. So I'll be in contact with you over the next week, or possibly my PA. And also, I don't know how many of you actually entered into the 8 weeks free online body transformational coaching competition. But I do have a winner, and the winner is, but I don't think she's on here. No, she's not. Anyway, it was Lana Hills. So I will be contacting her. But I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Really, really, really appreciate all of your time, and I really appreciate yours, Kate. Like, it's such a phenomenal story, and I just, I think we just need to get this information out there for, for everyone that's living, I suppose, these full-on stressful lives. Like, let's face it, like, there's not many people that haven't got a lot going on at the moment, and I think if we can all sort of like learn how important it is to have all of these pillars in place, it's just going to be a much better world for everybody.
Oh, totally. And I have checked the chats here, guys. I've got a couple of people that said that they haven't received you're recording this, aren't you, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so I did, but I actually did a little stuff up, and I didn't start recording until a bit later.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yes. So we've got Kim Robson, Shay. I'll just write these down in case it doesn't
Annette.
come back on. And Annette.
Yeah.
Okay, and ladies, I'll make sure I get that email out to you.
Oh, okay? You said Kim Robson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tanva doesn't go to bed till 3 a.m. What? What's going on, Tanva? That's crazy.
Now, has anyone got any questions before we go that they'd like me to answer?
Because of yeah, it doesn't look like it. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate your time. All right. Bye.
Bye.